All right, this is a quick tutorial on how to do the performance testing with perf test for the release candidate using Chrome. So I'm going to walk through these steps really quickly. So first we're going to use Chrome. I've got Chrome open here, and on this other tab in Firefox, I have some of the steps here. So we're going to make sure we use Chrome. We're going to make sure we use version 66. We can test that by looking at About Chrome, and it's going to tell me I'm at version 66. So we've done that step. Next step is to clear our history and the application cache. So let's do that real quick. We'll go to History, and we're just going to clear the history. So everything's checked except for passwords here for the whole time, and clear the data. That's one thing to clear. Another thing to clear, just for full clearing, is to go to Application here in our Dev Tools. And if we had any storage here to clear, we could clear it here. All right, so now I'm pretty confident that I've cleared things. I'm also going to open incognito mode for make sure that I'm fully clearing things. So I'm going to get rid of that. I've just got incognito mode, and I've cleared Chrome. So now I'm going to navigate to perftest.openlmis.org. We're going to load this up. All right. From this point, we want to note a few things. We want to open our Dev Tools again, and we want to slow things down. So let's do that. We open our Dev Tools, we go to Performance, and we want to slow down the network to slow 3G in our CPU to 6x slowdown. If you don't see these two options here, it's because you need to click this little red gear in the right-hand side here, and that'll show those options. So we want to slow those things down, and we want to leave this open. We want to note these credentials, DHITAL for the username, password is the password. Okay. We will be wanting to navigate to the Network tab. So I'll navigate over here to the Network tab. And then I've already done this, but what you'll be adding is a column to the right. So in this table that's underneath all this instructions, we'll be adding a column to the right. We're going to be noting anything that's important. So the version of the software we're testing, the date we're testing it, the operating system, and our name. That should be a minimum. And so we'll go over here to the right, and you'll see I've got my name, I've got my username, the password. The version should be 330 on perf test right now. And I should also note my operating system. So this is OS 10.11. All right. We're going to be looking at the Network tab as we work through these stories that are in this left-hand column. But before we get there, make sure you have a manual timer. I'm just going to use my phone, and I'll just be manually pressing the start button and the stop button when the UI does something and then comes back and it looks like it's actually done. And I'm going to note down those times. I'm going to note down the times I use from my manual timer as well as the times from the Network tab. So let's work through a quick one here. And a good one is the initial UI load. So what we'll do is I'm going to reload this here. I'm going to be watching our Network tab. And I've also got my manual timer. And I'm going to hit Apple Shift R to reload. Actually, you know what? I'll just press the reload button here so you can see on the screen. And I'm going to be noting down the times. So here we go. I pressed both at the same time. And then once this looks like it is fully loaded, I'll press the stop button on my phone. Okay, the logos showed up and it looks like everything's loaded, so I pressed the stop button and I got 26 seconds. So I'm going to write that in here. Overall, it took 26 seconds. And if I want to add some details on the APIs, I'll actually be looking in this network tab. And right now I have it filtered by XHR, which for most screens is what you want. However, the initial load doesn't use API calls. So we could write all these times down here, like the 2.02 seconds, the 5 seconds, etc. Let's do one more where we actually look at API calls. And we're most interested in the single approve, so we'll use that one. I'll sign in. I'll navigate to requisitions approve. And while that's doing that, we're going to look at the requisition approve story here. So we work through submit, we work through authorize, we get to the approve single, and I should be doing each one of these steps, navigating to requisitions approve, writing down the time, filter by program and click search, writing down the time. Each one of these. So I'm going to step through some of these, and we'll look at the very end goal here before we actually write all these down. This is just an example. I should be using essential meds. I should search by that. And as these happen, we see the actual, get and put requests down here, and we should be writing these down. But I'm going to jump right to looking at the requisition. As this works, I'll also show to look at the CPU and memory usage. I can bring up the task manager. The task manager will show for this tab how much memory is being used and how much CPU. As we can see right now, it's pegging my CPU. All right, so we have our requisition. I'm going to clear out all of my API results here with that button. And then, and I do that just so I can zero in on the API calls that are about to happen. So I'm going to approve this. And then we'll see in our API calls how much time this takes. Okay, so I'll stop my timer. My timer is showing a little over 30 seconds overall for the approve to occur. And then in our network tab, we're going to see that there's these 3 API calls. And one of the most interesting API calls on OS X with Chrome is this one here. It's this overall time of 20 seconds. And what's interesting about this is the 14 seconds, almost 14 seconds, where we're actually preparing our request and sending it to the server. Our waiting, our time till first byte from the server, information back from the server, hearing back, is about 4 seconds. So we know that the server had a latency of about 4.5 seconds. We know that the time to download that was 1.73 seconds. And for some reason, the application took about 14 seconds on OS X in Chrome just to prepare the request. So these are the overall steps. I should be writing these down in my column here and recording these results. And I can see in the columns that are next to mine the API endpoints that people have deemed interesting when they're recording their results. And we should do the same. So as we go through these, especially for this one, I should be writing the put, the post, and the subsequent requisitions for approval. and I should be putting those in there, including how much time it took to send the request, time till first byte, and the download that we were just looking at. So that's the quick steps, and I think that's it. Thanks.